Welcome to Somerset Showcase. Today we are going to bring you to the State House with our new state representative, Justin Thurber, who represents the 5th Bristol District, including Somerset, Dighton, part of Swansea, and part of Taunton. Welcome, Justin.
Thanks, George. I appreciate the opportunity.
So, you're a new state representative. Can you tell me a little bit about what it's like to get started as a state representative in the State House? What did you do to have to get established there?
Sure. So thank you for this opportunity. I know you wanted to discuss this many months ago, and I think we both decided that actually after probably about having a month or two in, come in and talk about it so we could discuss this. One of the good things that I tell a lot of people is when I was running for office for over 2 years, I made a lot of connections. My military experience showed me that you need to be prepared for the position you want to get into. So I looked forward to the opportunity of making connections with a lot of people currently at the State House. So stepping in day one or even before, after I got elected, there was always already a bunch of representatives I knew. There was elected officials up there that I knew and had relationships with. There were people that actually won campaigns for the first time, like myself, like Senator Kelly Dooner out of Taunton. She got in, so I have a lot of contacts up there. Some of her staff that she's picked are people I also know, and from across the years of campaigning and getting to know people. So it's actually been a really, I think, easier transition than most state reps probably have when they get in. So I've been kind of blessed in that aspect. I had a good idea of kind of what to expect. There's obviously always things that even current representatives, you talk to them about issues that everyone's always learning, and everyone up there at the State House has been great. That's one thing I have to say is everyone's been so helpful, everyone's been so accommodating, and my aide and I just hit the ground running, and we're trying to work on the issues that we brought up and people brought up to us when we campaigned.
So, and you got right into it. You had to file bills by January 17th, and you started January 1st. So
Correct.
That's not much time to get going.
No.
Can you tell me about some of those bills that you filed?
Sure. So, little story like you said. So, we started on January 1st, but the actual rule is it's the first Wednesday in January. So, I think the next 2 years it's on the 7th or the 4th, one of those 2 days. So, my aide didn't start until January 6th. So you start on a Wednesday, so that day is kind of shot, and then you have your Thursday, Friday, where you're doing all your things and you're trying to get your bills set up. And, so basically we had 11 days. Early on, too, it's funny, sometimes you bring a fresh perspective to what's going on up there. So one of the things I noticed really quick is some of the new reps and I were, discussing some of the bills we had, some of the ideas we had, and I was telling some, I said, there is another rep already doing a similar bill. And then you sit there and you're like, well, why don't they have like a place up there where people that are working on similar bills can say, I'm working on this, or I'm working on this particular issue. And this happened to be over immigration. And that way they can work on it together, or maybe one takes the lead and you need a sponsor or two sponsors, then you can have a bunch of co-sponsors. And I thought it'd be a better way of doing business. So some of the bills I worked on were things that a lot of people weren't looking at because I knew other people were looking at things, so it freed up some of my time. So some of the things I worked on is somewhere specific to my district. So the Reggie Fund that my predecessor used to get money from, and then it went away. When I was running for office, I really looked into that program, and what I found out is since the inception in Massachusetts, the Reggie Fund has generated around $750 million. Of which we got about 12 to 16. It's really tough because the numbers are all over the place, but let's even say 16 million. We got 16 million out of $750 million. But we lost 2 power plants. So I feel like the residents of our town and this district are getting hit doubly. There is another town, I think in Plymouth, that had the same thing. They lost a power plant. So you lose the tax revenue, and then your utility bills go up. So my thinking, and we submitted this bill, was it's not going to take 2 or 3 or 4 years for you to tear down a power plant and put something in else there that makes up for that lost tax revenue. So what we're hoping to do with this bill is have the Reggie funds look at these affected areas and say, hey, listen, we're going to help give you a little bit more money to make that transition. it's not like they're hurting for money. They made $750 million. A lot of that money goes to our rebates for electric vehicles or for home energy efficiency. So that's one of the things. The other thing that I worked on, and this one was actually a tough one. So first, I don't think a lot of people know that there's a tax deferment that if you're an elderly person, you can ask for Massachusetts. And everyone's like, oh, that's pretty cool because, real estate taxes are getting out of control for a lot of people, especially retired people, people on a fixed income. So initially I said, hey, it's $20,000. You can't make more than $20,000 as an individual or a couple. That's it to get this tax deferment. And no one's owning a house in Massachusetts making $20,000 or less. Nobody. So we initially said, hey, listen, let's bump that number up. So, with the connections I made in the past, with the people I talk to now, you start realizing that just doing that is going to create a lot of issues because now assessors are going to have to, make sure that these people actually only make 40,000. Let's say if we bumped it from 20 to 40 or 50,000, and then they're going to have to enter into contracts, and there's just going to be a lot of paperwork and a lot of effort. So after a long discussion with town administrators, tax assessors, tax collectors, what I realized is maybe what we do is we just limit what a town can tax an elderly person. So we submitted a bill that caps the amount that you can tax an elderly person on their real estate tax at 2.5%. And I know some town administrators have a little bit of issue because it kind of puts some handcuffs on them for, when they need to raise revenue, and it puts some of the burden on, the working class. But again, they're the working class. And a lot of times what you see, whether rightly or wrongly, is when there's big issues in town that they need an override or they want to raise more taxes, people that are making money go there and they vote for it. And the people on fixed income don't have the amount of people there to say no, whether because it's at night, because I hear that's one of the issues. A lot of elderly people don't like to come out to the night meetings. So what happens is you're sitting there and as a elderly person, you hear this a lot, I want to grow up and live in the house that I've lived in all my life, and it's becoming unattainable. So I think what another thing that I want to happen is I want more engagement in the town, and I think in this district and actually in the state. So I think if people in the town started knowing, like, hey, listen, the people on the fixed income, the elderly people, only ever going to go up 2.5%. We're kind of protecting them. They can make for inflation. They can deal with other things increasing, and they don't have to move out of their houses. And secondly, if there are big budget, big ticket tax increases maybe coming, maybe we'll have more people involved to look at those things and actually say, hey, listen, is it needed? Is the size of it needed? Is the scope needed? And can we do this better in a more efficient way? Because if I think a lot of people like, hey, listen, because you heard it when they were going to build the school, it's only a cup of coffee a day. Well, some people can't afford that cup of coffee a day. But let's say it's 2 cups of coffee a day, because now you can't go and take money, all the extra money from, elderly people.
Depends on what coffee shop you're buying.
Yes, depends on coffee shop too, yeah. But that's the thing is, so now what might happen is other people might get involved that otherwise wouldn't, because they're like, hey, listen, I can deal with $5 a day, but $10 a day, that's $300 a month. And then what hopefully happens is they will come out, they will voice their concerns. I think we need more people participating in the process, but too many towns have too few people making all the decisions. And then what happens, unfortunately, is people that aren't paying attention open their tax bill and like, what is going on? Well, what is going on is we need more voices to say, hey, listen, we can do a lot of these things in town, but can we do them smartly? Can we plan better for them? Can we look for cost savings in doing that? Can we have forward projecting plans? And I don't have all the answers. And I think a lot of people out there that think they have the answers, but they might not be the best ones. So if we can get more people out, more people involved, I think it'll benefit, the towns and the district. So I'm hoping that one passes. So I submitted that bill, and then what happens is you look for co-sponsors, and then what other people do is they go out to either advocacy groups or businesses that then tell their people to reach out to representatives. So I have a couple in mind what I'm going to reach out to. I have a meeting scheduled next week, and we're going to get the word out that, hey, there's a bill at the State House that can help elderly people not get overburdened by, this runaway real estate tax increases that some are facing.
Yeah, taxes are certainly an issue in Somerset
Well,
right now.
it's oh, sorry for cutting you off, but it's also another thing too. Is I think a lot of people look at things as individual little items, and I try taking a different approach. Maybe it's my military experience. Is so when the people who complain about, let's say, the real estate taxes, I think it's also a complaint about, it's not just my real estate taxes, it's my homeowner's insurance, it's my car excise tax, it's the groceries, it's the gas, like it's a bunch of things. I think the tax bill is just like a big, like, whoa, it's a big number, but they also understand all these other things are attributing to that fact. So those are the things that we're trying to hit. Even the immigration one, on the campaign I talked about how immigration was costing $1 billion. It's costing more than $1 billion a year in Massachusetts. But that's a bill that we're eventually going to have to pay, whether it's the elderly, whether it's our kids, whether it's ours. We're going to have to pay that. And that's going to have to be absorbed somewhere. We're going to see that. And I don't think people are taking that into account. So they're going to start doing it because it's funny. I've received a lot of requests because the governor's new budget came out and she's making cuts. And people are like, we don't like these cuts. Can you vote against it? And I'm like, I understand that. But the reason why she's making cuts is because they spent the money over here. And I think the Democrat Party in Massachusetts is finally starting to realize that, hey, listen, this is becoming unaffordable. It's untenable, and we have to make changes. So what I'm hoping they do is I'm hoping they, band with us, and we can be nice, we can be reasonable. We can also be good fiduciaries of people's money. That's another thing I think a lot of representatives sometimes forget. Again, because I think they look at a lot of issues as a singular issue, and they don't understand how that singular issue also has these other issues, and they all build on each other. And because they build on each other, things get more and more and more expensive, right? So I know my aide and I, what we've tried doing is say, hey, listen, any bill that we're going to do is not going to raise taxes and try lowering taxes, is going to give money back to people, and is going to give them more freedom back, not take freedom. Because we've seen some funny bills proposed, like if you release a helium balloon, you're going to get fined. Okay, I understand, save the environment. I understand that, but are we really going to get that far? If you say things people don't like, this is another bill proposed. If you say things people don't like, you can get fined $5,000. And I sit there and I shake my head. I'm like, we got things to do. There's another bill too, and again, this is one of those things that, while nice, I think everyone wants to be nice, everyone wants to be good. We have to also be honest. There's a bill that someone submitted that starting teacher salary in Massachusetts would be $70,000. I've told that to superintendents, and you got to see their face. They're like, because they know, like if Somerset, you had to start a salary of a teacher at $70,000, obviously every other pay grade would bump up accordingly. And you think people are upset now? You might as well just shut down the school because people will revolt. So again, I think what has to happen, it has to be honest discussions. There has to be good discussions. And I'm happy to be up there and be part of it because I think, as you know, at my open house or open office event, I had a woman that showed up, and I think she thought of me a certain way, which was fine. And I think we had a very good conversation. I'm going to be honest. She might not agree with everything I said, but I'm always going to have that conversation because I always think I can learn. And I hope, because I am that way at the State House, when I have these discussions with people and maybe say, hey, listen, while I get the intent of it, the unintended consequences are not going to be good. And I think that we need people that are willing to tell the truth. So that's what I'm going to do up there.
So speaking of that engagement and discussions,
yes,
and you started your office hours at the Somerset. You have an office at the Somerset Town Office
Correct.
Building now.
Correct.
And you're going to be doing them at some other places too. Do you want to tell people about that?
Correct. So one of the another big campaign things I always told people about was big into small business. I really want to support small businesses. I understand what they mean to communities. They do a lot of things behind the scenes, and they're the engine that keeps our communities going. So one of the things I wanted to do, which now I have the opportunity to do, is two things actually. I want to have meet the candidate events at these small businesses. So I have a coffee with the rep at Aroma Joe's in Swansea on February 7th. And I think it's a great opportunity for me to get out in that town because I don't have an office there, so people can come and they can support a local business that really plays a key role in Swansea. Actually, the week after, they're having a fundraiser for two children in Swansea who have autoimmune deficiencies. So they're going to have a fundraiser, and I guess when he does these fundraisers, he raises thousands of dollars for people in the town. So why wouldn't we want to support businesses that also give back? And then the other thing too, I told you about this, and you're going to come out one day, is I want to do small business spotlights. I think in my capacity as a state rep now that I want to go to these small businesses in town that either a lot of people know about or maybe not know about so much, and just put a spotlight on them. So that Aroma Joe's, we're going to do that, and I'm going to show what they have and their prices, and come on down. I have some other ideas, like the Rise Cafe was very nice to me, so I'm going to ask them. And even if you were nice to me, I'm going to support you, because this is what I want. Like, I think I was telling you earlier, a lot of legislators don't understand, I don't want to say power, right? I keep forgetting it. It's not the power, but the ability to put a spotlight on things, just because the position. So I figure if I can use this position to put a spotlight on how great the 5th Bristol is, how great Somerset, Swansea, Dayton, and Taunton are, the good things that we have in our towns, the great people that we have, I think it's just going to make a better sense of community for everybody. I think it's going to make people realize that, hey, listen, we live in a really great area. And I will tell you this, and I'm sure everyone that watches, and even you, if you ever had friends that grew up here and moved away, when they come back, they want to go eat at every place because the food, right? So we know we have it, right? Sometimes it takes being away to realize what you have. I have a lot of friends that have moved away from this area, and so I guess I know it more, or I'm reminded about it more so than a lot of other people, because every time they come back, they want to go to the beaches, they want to go watch this, they want to go to these places. So we really have a lot of good businesses, and we really have a lot of great things in this area, and I'm just glad that I'm able to play a part and put a spotlight on those things.
Going back to November.
Sure.
I mean, you beat a long-time incumbent in the election in a district that has always gone Democrat.
Yes.
You won as a Republican. What do you attribute that to? Why do you think you were able to win that election?
Well, I like to say you put a lot of hard work into it. You talk to a lot of people, and I think what happens, whether rightly or wrongly, is I think a lot of people across the nation, across the state, I've talked to other representatives about it, is they don't feel like their politicians are listening to them, or they don't care. So one of the things that I'm going to try doing, as I said, is being out front in the community more. And I'm not going to say my predecessor wasn't. I just don't know if it was enough for people to see, and I understand there's life things that come up. So I really think what happened is, even a couple of years ago, if you looked at Somerset, like the first time I ran 2 years ago, there was the license for illegals in Massachusetts, that bill on the ballot. Somerset voted against it, Swansea voted against it, Dayton voted against it. Rep Haddad, she had voted for it. So I think what started happening is this area started changing, and I think a lot of people want something different. And I think what happened is I saw that, and that's why I ran. A lot of people like, oh, did you think you could beat a long-time incumbent? This is a Democrat area. I said, I don't really think it's Democrat or Republican. I think basically people want to be able to live their lives. They don't want to be taxed out of their houses. They want to be listened to. They want a good education, and they want their voices heard. And I think a lot of people had frustration with that, whether rightly or wrongly. And I think that goes at the top from the governor down. There's also, I was also helping the state auditor with her, push for transparency and accountability, that ballot initiative won. And, that's something I could talk about. And that's something that was funny to watch. Like, I could find the videos for you. The auditor, Diana DeZaglio, would go to the Democrat conventions in Massachusetts, and she would tell people, hey, listen, Democrats are supposed to be the people for transparency and accountability, and the state house isn't doing that. And then you sit here and you're like, they're not. And then to see a lot of politicians not fall behind the state auditor, especially Democrats, like currently elected representatives, not get behind her, I think a lot of people, like, who do you work for then? Like, you work for us. And I think that's the dynamic. I think a lot of people also like the fact that and this is how I am. I have a military career to prove this. Is as a chief in the military, I understood it was about my people and doing what's best for the people. It's not about me, and I think people understood that. They said, "Hey, listen, we're going to give you a shot because we want someone that understands where the boss." I think you're at one of my events, taking notes or whatever, and I sat there and it hit me as I was talking, and I said to everybody there, I said, this is a weird thing actually. And everyone's like, "What do you mean?" I go, "I'm standing in front of you. So just by the nature of how I have to do this, I have to stand in front of you so you guys can hear me and speak. All of you think that he's going to be the guy in charge." I go, "But what you don't see is I'm looking at you. You're in charge. Yeah. All of you are in charge. I'm not in charge." And I think it all hit them. And I think that's what more and more people need to understand. I think a lot of people had relinquished power to their state reps, and I'm statewide too. And I think what they expected is they expected that they could just live their lives, everything would be good, and the government would take care of things. And I think what happened is a lot of people, when things got bad, whether COVID, the economy, the migration crisis, I think people started looking like, well, what are you going to do to fix this? What's going on? And there was no leadership. There was no one listening to people, and I think people got frustrated. So I think it was a lot of things. And I hope, like I told people, and you heard me say this, I want to be an example of what a representative should be, at least what I think it should be. I think every rep, to some extent, wants to do that. I think I have a different take, and we'll see. We'll see if in 2 years people like what I'm doing, if they like that I'm out engaging, if I have a lot of plans. Oh my gosh, because I need more time and probably another aide that I won't get. But I really need to get a lot of things out, and I want to work for this community, because here's the other thing, like, not just for the 5th Bristol, right? I feel like if I can be a rep that other reps look at and they say, "Hey, listen, that guy's doing some good things, maybe we can do those things here too," and really start changing it. And it starts with me. I have to be the change I want to see. And if people like it or not, like I said, we'll find out in 2 years, and if they don't like it, I'm like, well, I gave it a shot, and people want something else. But some people are afraid of change. Like in the military, that's one thing recognize. I was never a yeller. I always tried to be like a team player. And when I made chief, a lot of people like, this guy's being the chief, like he doesn't fit the mold of what we're used to. And it took them a little while to understand it, but after a while they were like, I actually like this better. I like a chief that works with us. I like a chief that doesn't yell with us. I like a chief that asks us questions and actually listens, and we get more done. So like I said, I think people have an idea of what this position should be, and I want to hopefully change that for the better. And if people follow my footsteps in this area, that they learn a lot from what I did and actually do better. So I think that should always be the goal, just to continuously do better and work hard for the constituents. So
I think at your office hours last week, you talked about working for the people as opposed to the leaders at the State House.
Yes.
And in fact, you voted against your minority leader
twice
when you first started.
Twice, correct. So, I know a lot of people have issues with that, and I guess that's where I want to be different. So I called the minority leader before and told him that I would not be voting for him for a couple of reasons. First, a lot of times people talk about having time restrictions on how long someone can hold a position, right? He's been in that position for 20 years, which I think has value, but I told people, like, listen, we should have term limits. Not only that, a lot of the voting record up at the State House mirrored what my opponent's was. And I told them, I said, listen, I can't in good conscience go up there and been running a campaign for almost 2 years telling people, like, hey, listen, I'm going to be your voice, I'm going to go up there, and then the first thing I do is vote against everything I said. And he understood that. He didn't like it, but he understood that. The good thing about being a Republican up there's only 25 of us and out of 160, and people are like, well, how is that a good thing? And I'm like, well, it's a good thing because I was told I can vote the way my people want me to vote. And I said, well, that's good, because I was going to, just to let you know. So it was actually pretty funny, right? The weird thing about it, though, is you sit up there and then you have 135 other, representatives. And the question is, well, can they not? And I think in certain instances they can't, but I think they want to show that they're all in it together on certain things. And I don't want to be that way. And I think I told this to you. I think I said it this day. Is one thing I tell a lot of people now is there's leadership up at the State House. They're the people that have been there a long time. They know what levers to push, what things to say, how a lot of things work. Great. I said, but they're not my leader. They're leadership. I understand that, but they're not my leader. They're not my boss. The people who elect me are. The only one that can fire me is my people. So I have to be true to that. Like I said, I have to be a voice, and I want to be different. And what I hope happens is that courage is contagious. When I'm on the State House floor swearing in, my daughter has video. Only 4 people stood up and voted outside of what everyone else is doing. I was happened to be one of them. A lot of people don't like that. Like, you're crazy. You're not going to get anything done. No, I'm supposed to be the voice. Whether they like it up there, whether they want to hear it, all I have to care about is, am I being the voice, and am my people in my district saying, hey, listen, we finally have someone that is going up to Boston and saying this is what needs to be fixed. I mean, I could be a regular politician and just go up there, and no one would have known. I would have voted a certain way. Everything would have been quiet, and no one would have known. And oh, he's doing a great job. He's going along to get along. That's not me. Like, I want to go up there and I want to make change. There are things that we need to fix, and if we don't fix them, it's only going to get worse. So, like I said, I have a lot of friends up there. I think a lot of people are concerned that, I'm ruining relationships. I'm not. The leadership up at the State House understands what I'm doing. And again, they told me, they said, hey, we didn't like it. We understand it. And I said, that's good. And I go, here's my other thing. Is like, I want the people up there, even Democrats, to win. I do. Right? Because there's a big thing up there that, hey, you're your colleagues and you work together and make friendships with all these people. But I also want them to understand that you'll have an easier time winning re-election if they're working for their people and being a voice for their people. And that's tough. That's tough for some people up there right now. So I want to make it easier. I want to be that, the person that shows them, like, hey, listen, I can oppose this if my people oppose it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. A lot of people say I'm too optimistic, but we'll see what happens.
Well, maybe this next question relates to that.
Sure.
But with there being only 25 Republicans, how do you get stuff done up there?
I don't want to give all my secrets, but so it's actually kind of funny, right? Like, and this is where I think I'm different, and I tell this to people. I said, I was a chief in the military for 9 years, and it lends itself really good to being a legislator and a representative, because as a chief in the military, I walked where I wanted to, talked to who I wanted, and did what I wanted to do. I don't have my pin on now for my legislative representative pin, but when I have that thing on, I tell people it's my secret decoder pin. I can go wherever I want, talk to who I want, and do what I want. And it's kind of true. And even things like committees, right? Here's a big thing, like, oh, Justin isn't going to be on these committees, and, Pat Haddad was on these committees. And I'm like, yes, she was, and they're very powerful committees. Understandable. But I think the misconception is that if you're not on a committee, you can't talk about those issues, which is wrong. I could talk about any issue I want to talk about, right? So now, would I not have all the information of sitting on a committee? Well, I can watch them. I can talk to the people up there. I can say why you're doing this and why you're doing that. And to prove that point, what I did to prove it to other legislators is I want to be on the Veterans Committee. They haven't been picked yet. I don't know. And at the State of the Commonwealth that the governor gave, there was 3 base commanders, and I know what base commanders look like, standing outside just talking. So I went over, stood next to them. 2 were Air Force, 1 was Army. And they said, yeah, can we help you? And I'm like, yeah, I'm State Rep Justin Thurber, is also chief in the Air Force. So the Air Force guys, right off the bat, like, oh, great. So shook their hands, and I'm like, hey, listen, I want to be on the Veterans Committee, but I might not. I go, if I'm not on the Veterans Committee, can I come out to your base and talk? Oh, yeah, sure, anytime. That's the power that you have as a representative. That's the thing that a lot of people don't know. You can walk places, do things, talk to people, and you can have an opinion. You can have an opinion. You can be a voice. So while I might not be on a committee, while we might not be in a position where we're the majority, I feel like I'm in a position that I can say what I want to say, and I can say what the people want me to say, and I think there's other people that can't. Whether it's to stay on committees, whether it's to go along to get along. So again, for me personally, like I said, I feel like I'm in a different position. But again, it's my experience. My experience has taught me like there's other avenues. You don't always have to be in charge to make a difference. And we're gonna test that theory really good in the next couple of years.
And to help you with some of this work, you've hired a Somerset Berkeley Regional High School graduate.
Kevin Conlon. Yeah, he's been great. Yeah, it's funny when you're looking for an aide who helps you out, you need someone that has your back, right? And not only do they have your back, but you also they have to understand that they can't be out in front. So you want someone that's not like on social media all the time, someone that's yelling or swearing at people. What they need to do is they need to be the person behind the scenes supporting me and help me and help the constituents. So when I was looking for that, he was basically with I don't want to say with my campaign, but he was a supporter since the first time I ran. His mother came out initially, and then he would come out. And over the couple years, like you'd see him like when we were at standouts and people yelling and swearing at you and giving you the bird, it didn't affect him, right? Which is good because some people that were there for you wanted to engage, and I don't want to engage. Like, listen, I understand that people aren't going to like me, but I always have to be approachable. And I told people, like, listen, please don't engage like that. Like, when I win, I want those people to know they can come talk to me. I want those people to bring their problems. I'm going to be a representative of everybody, not just the people I like, not just the people that support me. Actually, I've had a lot of people that didn't support me, and I know it like viciously on Facebook, reached out to me, and I've had sit-down discussions with people. I have coffee with people, text with people, run into them out and about, and had discussions with them. And they might never vote for me, but I'm hoping with the interactions, they're like, well, at least he listened to me. And I told people, I said, listen, I wholeheartedly understand, and I don't mean to bring Jameson, I'm sorry, up, but he wasn't a big supporter of mine. No worries, and I understand that, right? Even as a selectman, I understand that, but now that I'm in the seat, I'm going to work with him, and we've already discussed this. I'm going to work with you. Like, I want what's best for Somerset, and I'm sure he does. So why would I sit there and hold a grudge? It's part of the process. Some people don't understand that. I guess in the military you're able to compartmentalize things, and a lot of people aren't able to do that. I'm very good at compartmentalizing things, and I'm very good at understanding that people say things or do things for certain reasons. And whether it's a personal attack or running for office type attack, I understand you didn't want me. Well, I'm here now, and let's do good things. And getting back to Kevin, I like I said, I think his temperament, his age bodes well. He's young, and he wants to do good things. And a lot of the aides up at the State House when I went up there earlier were young also, so I figured he'd fit in better with them. And he's done an excellent job. He's everything we want to do. He's on it. He really helps with the constituent services, which is a big piece. We help people with unemployment cases. We help people with housing issues. We direct people where they need to go, and we want to expand that. I think the other thing we're probably going to do is we're going to work on giving like a list or an idea of things that the state rep can actually do, because there are a lot of people that reach out to me and like, you need to do this, and I'm like, I have no power to do that, and I'd love to help, right? And it's heartbreaking sometimes because I have a heart to serve. I since 17 I was in the military, so always serving, and I want to help everybody. I understand that you can't help everybody, but I'm going to try my hardest. There's people I just couldn't help, and I'm like, I didn't stop. I directed them to other things. I'm like, I can't help you. Maybe this can. And he's the same type of person. Like, he just wants to help people, and he wants things to get better, and he has my back. We've had a lot of discussions, back and forth from Boston, because I want to make sure we're on the same page with a lot of things, because sometimes he'll be going to events in spite of me, because we want to really be at a lot of events, and I want to make sure that when he's speaking, that it's almost like I'm speaking those words, and he understands that. So it's been excellent, and I can't say enough about the Somerset Berkeley. That's why I moved here 5 years ago. The education, my kids are doing great in college, and my youngest, who is still in the school system, he's doing phenomenal. So maybe that's another reason why it was a good benefit.
Yeah, he seems like a very intelligent person.
Yes,
so.
yeah.
So outside of all this legislative work, what do you like to do? What are your hobbies? What do you? I always like to kind of do a personal type of thing with these interviews.
Video. I like video and stuff like that. So the last couple of years has basically been work and politics and just family stuff, taking care of family stuff like college. So what I would love to do is I would love to do video, and I think that's probably why I want to do the small business spotlight, because I can use my video equipment, I can take videos and process that. So in some capacity I can bring photography or videography into it. Not that I'm really great at it, but it's something I like to do. And the funny thing about it, I tell the wife, is we've met a lot of great people over the years doing this. So this was something at some point in life, I think everyone thinks about maybe running, you could be president, not me, but people say that to people, you should run for office. So sometimes you think about it, but I never thought that I would do it or actually run. But now doing this, I actually enjoy this. And it's kind of funny, because a lot of people would say I was extroverted. I'm not. I'm introverted. Like, if I had my decision, I'd be at home with my wife and kids, just hanging out. But being in this, it forces me to be out of my comfort zone and meeting people and talking to people. And I truly, this job has been great. I truly love meeting new people and hearing what they're doing. I was at the New Bedford Whaling Museum last week, and the lady that helps run it, Amanda, sitting there, what a phenomenal person. And that museum is great. We're going to do things with that museum. I know it's in New Bedford, but we're going to do things with the schools. And that spirit of cooperation is great. And seeing what's out there, if I never ran, I could tell my wife, if I never ran, we'd probably just be at home every night just watching TV. I said, but for the last 2 years, we met some of the most wonderful people. We got to be involved volunteering at Barbecue Fest, Winter Fest, SOAM, just getting involved in the community. That's something I really hope a lot of people, maybe I can inspire people to do that, is just get involved. There's so many great people out there. I know there's some division in Somerset between some people, but I think on the whole, most people just want to have a good time. They want to be in a good community and be active participants. So, I'm looking forward to all that stuff and just learning more, meeting more people, and I guess that's my new thing to do, is just get out there. And I won the apple pie baking contest too. I like to cook, I guess, as you can.
Okay, well, Brian has signaled to me that our time is up. But hopefully you can come back from time to time to update us on what you're doing up at the State House, and
definitely
we can make this a regular thing.
Yes, definitely. I appreciate it. Okay. And again, if you see me out and about in the town, you might not, because the wife goes in now a lot of times, because I just get talking to people. But, bring up your concerns, bring up your ideas. I have people calling me, texting me with their ideas and their concerns, and we talk about things. And one of the last things, if you give me a minute, is I told Kevin, I said, hey, we've seen a lot of different people, superintendents, town administrators, state auditors. We've seen a wide swath of different people, in different capacities. And I said, have you ever thought once that I didn't know how to handle myself in those situations, or I was underwater on any topic? And he thought about it. He's like, no. I go, think about that. I talk to a lot of people. I have a lot of diverse knowledge from, my background, which lends me to the ability to actually have meaningful conversations. And I think a lot of people test me. So far I've been good, but maybe someone will come out like, that guy knows nothing. But so far, I think most people, when they talk to me, I don't know everything, but I can speak intelligently on most topics. And what I like to do is I like to push people beyond what they think too. So really quick, I know we gotta go, but so Brayton Point, some people like AI. Maybe we'll do AI down there. So again, I'm like, hey, listen, that someone suggested that to me. A lot of thoughts. I looked into things, but then I start bringing up, well, 3 Mile Island, that one of the plants went down, the reactor melted down. Microsoft is trying to take the other one and build it back and put it back online for their AI farm. But that nuclear plant could power 200,000 homes. AI takes a lot of electricity. And I said, hey, that might be a long-term thing we can think about, but I also have to think about, and the discussion should be whatever goes at Brayton Point, it should be generational. 2 or 3 generations, it should stay there, right? So we don't have to deal with this again. It should also have a good tax revenue income coming in, right? And it also should be a good neighbor. So I think what we should do is have a lot of discussions, like I said, a lot of input from people, and figure out like what's the best use of the land and what's the best long-term goal of it. So my point with that is when people call me up and discuss this, like some will bring up AI, some will bring up like general dynamics, and we go through everything. We go through all the different things, and I go, remember this, remember this, remember this. Now, some of these might be stumbling blocks, and some of these things might not be, but I also want them to think beyond, I thought of one thing, and I don't care what the impact is. Like, we have to think of all the impacts. That's why, like I said, if we have a lot of people that come in, they can be say, hey, listen, if you bring in AI, you're just going to get the building. That's all the tax revenue, because it's not going to be banned by a lot of people, and, there could be other consequences. So I look forward to the discussions, and I just can't wait to see what we can do in the next couple of years. So thank you so much, George, and SATV for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning in to Somerset Showcase. We've been talking to State Representative Justin Thurber. Be watching for when he's going to be having his office hours at the Somerset Town Office Building and at different coffee shops around the area. We'll see you next time.